made contracts reliable in all other respects to a more moral, more controlled society. And so that's one of the reasons that the Ranganga, the traders, were supporters of the public, seeking security.
I have a comment that I was recently rereading an article by Ayoma, Professor Ayoma from Japan, about the process of Indianization. And he was, in a sense, trying to refute or supplement the theory of Sudes, that there were two waves of Indianization in Southeast Asia. And he argues for more of a progressive, gradual process where we can see the final results, but it wasn't like there was a wave, sort of Indianization was imported and planted, and that was there, and then it kind of died out a little bit, and then it was planted again. He would argue, no, it was there was sort of constant change, there was constant interchange with Indian culture and religion, and so Sanskrit came to dominate Javanese language, for example. Almost all, in one record, 75% of old Javanese words are from Sanskrit. And so there's this sort of, the change was very, very profound, but it was a gradual change that took over. Now there may be radical, sharp conversions of individuals, but for the adoption of Indian language and cult concepts and religious ideas and rituals and so on, that was a sort of it took hundreds of years of a process. And it seems to me your story of Islamization could be read as having a similar message, that Islamization was a long process, that not to deny the possibility of dramatic conversions or miracles, but that the integration of Islam into Javanese society is something that started several hundred years ago and is going on right now, and whether where it will go, what will people be like in the future in terms of their identity and their religion, is almost impossible to predict. But certainly it looks like there's a movement towards a stronger force, but maybe, as you pointed out in your lecture this morning, more diversity as well, and people with sharply different identities having to or learning to live together in spite of those differences. Siska's questions comes from her experience as a Catholic from Flores. I don't know when Catholicism came to Flores, but it was with the Portuguese, and the process in Flores is probably a whole nother history that we haven't had a chance to explore here. Maybe when you go back to Flores on some vacation, you can try to find out what has been written on the history of Catholicism in Flores.
Actually, there are some documentation on Catholics coming in Flores, but most of them are in Dutch, so it's hard to understand.
I was invited to give a speech. I was wondering about your thesis of no race between Islam and I was invited to give a speech at a conference a couple of years ago that was supposedly commemorating the 500th anniversary of Protestantism in the Tunisia.
Oh, yes, I'm interested.
That was held in Ambon.
Of course, that's what you should have. You know how Protestantism came about.
Yes.
The Portuguese had already turned everybody into Catholics. The Dutch
Right.
guy threw out the Catholic priests and said, now you're all Protestants.
Right, and the founding of Protestantism in Ambon, the date they had a date for
Of
it,
course they did.
was the appointment of the Dutch governor, who